What's going on, guys? I'm Josh. I'm in Austin, Texas right now on a road trip, and today I'm going to talk about shooting the exact opposite of this serene environment here, and that is Monster Jam. Now, today I'm going to tell you the story about how I got to photograph Monster Jam, one of the most official monster truck contests in the entire world, going from knowing nothing about the sport, knowing no one in the industry, having no contacts, to getting to photograph one of the most talented riders in the entire competition and taking a very intimate series of portraits. I shot a ton of photos of the event, from portraits of Venard, one of the riders, to street photos or photojournalism of the actual event, to action shots of the monster trucks doing their monstrous thing. So today I'm going to show you a bunch of behind the scenes footage of the process, tell you some stories, and talk about how I got the shots that I did. So jumping right in, let's start with how I got in to photograph this ridiculous event. As a photographer, you have an incredible asset to offer people, and that is free photo shoots. Everyone needs photos, and if you hit up the right people, you can gain access to incredible opportunities, and that's exactly what I did. Once I decided that I wanted to go to Monster Jam, I headed over to their website, looked at all of the riders that were participating in this event, and researched all of them. So I made a list ranking them in terms of personality, 1, and 2, media savviness, because I needed someone with an interesting personality that I would want to photograph, and someone that would want to have photographs taken of them. So the top person on my list came out to Venard, who is a monster truck driver with incredible talent and a prosthetic leg. He actually lost his leg in a motorbiking accident and serves as an incredible inspiration. So I knew that that was my guy. He seemed awesome, and I sent him a DM. Now, at the same time, I also reached out to Feldman Entertainment, which is the owner of the Monster Jam company. And I hit up their PR team, didn't hear back from them, but I did hear back from Cole, and then we set this up. So now I want to show you guys the art of the DM. Now, Instagram DMs are an incredible tool, not just for finding the love of your lives or the love of your weekends, but also for linking up with incredible people who you want to do professional work with. My very simple formula to sending a perfectly crafted DM: 1, introduce yourself and flex hard, making them know that you are a successful, accomplished person. 2, make a value proposition that's incredibly clear. So I let Cole know that I'd be willing to photograph him at the event for free and give him all the images to use for whatever he'd like. And then finally, make it very clear that this is a personalized message. If you send some generic garbage that clearly has been sent to a bunch of people, no one's gonna want to respond. So add a personal touch to show that you've done your research. After that, some very important follow-up. When you send someone a DM, it's gonna show up in their DM requests if they aren't already following you, and they're probably not. So you want to remind them to go check that out. So what I do is I follow the person, I like a few of the recent photos, and then I just comment on their newest photo saying, hey, I've got a cool opportunity for you, check out your DM requests. And that usually will be seen, they'll take a look, and if they're interested, they will hit you back. Now, in the end, I did not hear back from Feldman Entertainment, but it didn't matter because Cole hit me back and we arranged for this awesome day of photography. Next off, let's talk about the portraits that I shot. Well, there were a ton of different things I wanted to shoot at this event, and I didn't exactly know how it was going to go. I knew that I wanted to make good on my offer to shoot nice portraits of Cole, so I made that my top priority. Once I got in, I immediately found Cole, and we talked about the things that he most wanted to have photographed, and I made sure to be there for that. So that was interviews, autograph signings, some portraits in between, and just some behind the scenes moments of him doing his thing. Things like portraits of him were incredibly fun to shoot. Other things were not my favorite, but I did want to do them solid and take it seriously. So stuff like the autograph signings, kind of throwaway photos, but I knew he'd appreciate them, so I made sure to shoot these photos as well. Now, one of my favorite shots from our portrait series was his leg, a very close-up of it, with the perfectly circular framing from his monster truck wheel. I think it's a really satisfying, clean composition, and it's a lot of metal and rubber and just cool texture together. And we also got some cool portraits here and there that I think turned out pretty solid. To dig into how I shot most of these photos, I was using my Canon 6D Mark II, as well as mostly a 24 to 105mm f4 lens, and I had my 35mm 1.4. Now, I ended up being able to use my 24-105 for most of the day because the stadium lighting was absolutely incredible. So bright, allowing me to shoot at f4 and not be strapped on lighting and still have a decently fast shutter speed. I never pushed my ISO past 3200, which was a delight. Honestly, having that full zoom range is so crucial. I know a lot of photographers like their primes for lightness, but I'd rather have weight and flexibility, which is why I love my 24-105. I also did some work with the speed light, and I'll talk about that in a second. Part 3, I want to talk about the candid moments that I got to photograph during the event. So when I wasn't photographing Cole, I was wandering around the stadium trying to find interesting moments and basically pretending to be the official photographer. And I suppose as the only photographer there, I guess I was, which was awesome because people were super open to having their photos taken. And even if the photos were candid, because I seemed like an official event photographer, everyone was really down with it. And this is the joy of photojournalism, the joy of having a press pass. Media credentials definitely opened up the room to opportunities, and I definitely pushed that as far as I possibly could. I spent time in the players' lounge. I wandered the entire stadium. I sat in every possible seat I could sit in just to get the best angles, and I just had a ton of fun photographing everyone. This event was basically a street photographer's paradise. There was so much action happening, the lighting was perfect, and tons and tons of characters. And everyone was really friendly too. Even though there were some tough looking guys that I photographed, everyone was incredibly friendly. Because a lot of the background was incredibly busy and hard to find clean, isolated subjects, I decided to isolate them myself by using a speed light. So the way the speed light works is by underexposing the entire shot. So everything's a little bit too dark. I would just light up with a speed light the people who were immediately in front of me. I shot these with my Canon 580X1 speed lights. This is a super old speed light I got on eBay used like 7 years ago, and it still works beautifully. Now I set it to manual 1/128th power, which is the lowest power setting. I had the speed light sitting straight up with the bounce card in place, just so I could pop a little light in the direction of my subjects, but not totally overwhelm them with lighting. And it ended up working beautifully because you have the dark background where you can still see some detail, and you can always lift up shadows to bring out more detail if you want in the background. And then you have the perfectly exposed subjects who are beautifully isolated and much better lit up and exposed than the rest of the background. So I did that for a lot of these street photos. I really like this shot of one of the vendors there who was selling cotton candy and masks. One of my favorite things to photograph from the event was the Supercuts hair dyeing station. I'm pretty sure it was Supercuts or some sort of hair cuttery, but I tried my best not to capture their logo because I figured that would reduce the quality of the image and ruin some of the mystique. So anyway, they were giving all these kids dyed hair and mohawks, which felt like the epitome of monster truck culture. So I definitely wanted to lean in on that. I stayed around this booth for a good 20 minutes just watching people. And I love these sort of opportunities where I can post up, let people keep coming to me, and being welcomed as a photographer. Kids had the funniest reactions. It was a lot of just raw emotion. There was excitement, there was sadness, there was fear, and I wanted to capture all of that. So that was a treat to photograph. I like your hair, dude. Part 4, I want to tell you a quick story about one of the most fascinating aspects I learned about the actual event. So I talked to as many of the riders as possible, tried to learn about their relationship with the event, how it all works. And one of the craziest things I learned is about the systematic favoritism of Gravedigger. That this is the one car that's actually owned by Monster Jam. Most of the cars are independent contractors, meaning the teams and the drivers who own the car, they own the rights to it. They can sell their own merchandise, they can do their own events, and they're just working with Monster Jam on this event. Meanwhile, Gravedigger is one of the cars that's actually owned by Monster Jam, meaning they can't do any of this stuff that the other independent contractors can do. Now, as a result, Monster Jam only sells Gravedigger merch. All the t-shirts being sold, all of the little monster trucks the kids are playing with, the trucks the kids get to test drive, and the mugs that the snow cones are coming in, they're all Gravedigger themed. And as a result, every single little kid's favorite car is Gravedigger. That's really the only one they know. Now, this is all fine and well, but what I thought was crazy was when I learned that the entire competition comes down to audience scoring. And as a result, these kids are always voting for Gravedigger, no matter how he performs. Gravedigger won the entire competition when he really shouldn't have. And I did the math, and Cole, my guy who actually came in second, would have had more points if Gravedigger didn't win a contest that he openly admitted to not performing the best in. It just seems crazy to me that the outcome of a professional sporting event would be based on subjective audience scoring from people who don't even know that much about the sport, as opposed to objective judges. That seems totally wild, and the fact that they're selling a ton of Gravedigger merch is maybe a little bit too convenient. But I will give Gravedigger props. He is an excellent driver. Anderson kills it. Part 5, I want to show you the shots I took of the actual event. Now, I spent 90% of the actual contest just enjoying it, being a spectator, only 10% shooting, because I really am fascinated by monster truck culture and was super excited to get to watch it. Now, I was bouncing around the stadium throughout trying to find the most optimal angles, so I wanted to get that perfect center composition view for the big jump that a lot of the drivers were taking, and I wanted to get a more even middle of the stadium view for a couple of the tricks that some drivers were doing. So I shot a couple of tricks here and there, but I always had my camera ready to go in case a car flipped over. I thought that was the most interesting thing, and how one car caught on fire at one point, another car was smoking for a good while. It's also funny, as soon as one of the car flips over and you're like, oh, is this driver okay? It's hard to tell. They immediately have the hostess come out and she gives away some tickets to the next Monster Jam event or something to distract the entire audience from the fact that there's like a little bit of gruesome endeavors going on the actual field. Final thoughts, it was incredibly fun getting to hang out at Monster Jam. I'm fascinated by the culture. It was such a neat time getting to dig into something that's so unfamiliar to me and shoot it at the same time. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. For more of my work, check out my Instagram and go follow Venard for some incredible monster truck driving. I am so appreciative of him letting me come shoot, and you'll find a link to his account in the description down below. Thank you guys so much for watching. Hopefully I'll be shooting a rodeo next week, making a similar style video, and I will see you eventually.